You can click on the CC, which should be on the menu bar, and turn captioning on. Furthermore, you can add in the full transcript. So you can see the full transcript in the side, or you can turn on captions and click on the CC. If you miss anything, be sure to like and subscribe to Meller Marketing channel on YouTube and then watch again. Brenda.
Part of the reason I do that, Christopher, is I want to give everyone like a free sample of Christopher Johnson. And I want you all to remember that sometime in the future, you're probably going to come across an organization that is hosting an event, whether it's an in-person event or a virtual event. And the team might be a bit flustered about technology or just the flow and who's going to do the emceeing and can we find somebody who's got this skill and got this knack. And this guy right here, Christopher Johnson, is who you want to book. And you see in his Zoom background, it does specify he is a virtual event producer. Let me see if I can spotlight you. He helps me spotlight people throughout the meeting. So sometimes you might see like somebody goes on and off because we're both trying to do it. And he does a really awesome job of anticipating who should be on screen. Like I don't tell him what to do. So I do make him a co-host, but he just knows because Christopher's been on these calls so many times. He knows what to do and what view to be in. So Christopher, I'm going to start with our VIP All-Stars and give a moment for introductions. But before I do so, I want to give you the stage. Would you like to introduce yourself and let folks know how they can work with you if they're interested in doing so?
Well, thank you very much. The name of my company is Calm Clear Communications. And what I do is produce virtual events. I am the interstitial space that holds the virtual event together. So I'm not, if you think of it like bricks and mortar, I'm not the bricks. That's the presentation that is going on. I'm the mortar holding it up and making sure everything works smoothly. Use my QR code to connect with me and let me know how I can help you with your next virtual event.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christopher, and thanks for being on. And I want to say good morning and welcome to all of you. My name is Brenda Meller, and I am your host for this monthly event that we call Friday VIP Job Seeker Office Hours. I'm delighted that you're here today. You may not be delighted to be here today because if you are here, it means you are out of work, in between successes, unemployed. There's a variety of different terms for it, but at any rate, you're here because you are a job seeker at this point. And I want to let you know that we're glad that you are here because we have tried to create a community over the years of individuals like you who are in career transition. And I do have to say, we have people that come into the group and leave the group, sometimes because they're back to work and then something happens and they're back in the job search market again and they come back into the group. But I created this because I've gone through a couple of career transitions, not by choice myself, i.e., I have been laid off as well. And I know the feeling like one day you are a part of the team and you're doing the things that need to get done to support your company, the job, the team. And then the next day, at some point during that day, you're tapped on the shoulder and brought into a conference room, or you get an awkward text message with followed by a phone call or jump on a Zoom with HR real quick, and all of a sudden your world changes and you go from being part of the team to an outsider. And it can be very isolating going through that process, and it can be an emotional roller coaster. You definitely have some lows, but you also might have some highs through that process too. You're relieved because there might have been some stress associated with the job and you're relieved to not have to go into work anymore. But you do miss at some point that routine of being a part of a team, right? So we've created these Friday VIP Job Seeker office hours as a way for you to become part of our team. And I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat right now. And I'll remind you when you do that introduction, what we're looking for is just a very high level. Don't tell us your life story. All we're looking for here is tell us your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and then please put your LinkedIn URL in there. Make sure you include the HTTPS because then we can click on it and visit your profile. And it's not that we don't want to know your life story, but the Zoom chat, you ever see someone who writes like a really long paragraph, right? And you're like, you just kind of skim through it. Whereas the short and sweet ones are the ones that get read. So I want to encourage you to do that now. Take a moment and introduce yourselves into the chat. I'm going to put my introduction in here. And I want to let you know that if you visit my profile, I have what's called creator mode set up. It's going away, but essentially what happened is my default button is no longer connect, it's follow. Now, if you do want to connect with me, you can, but you have to click on the more button and then you'll get an option to personalize invite or connect. Now, with that said, the LinkedIn has implemented a new limitation of the number of notes that you can add out on LinkedIn. So you can get, depending on the test group that you're in, you might only have 5 personal invitations, 10 personal invitations. I've heard some people have 20, but you're going to reach a limit pretty quickly. And I would say if you are very limited, and we're at the beginning of the month right now, so don't waste an invitation credit on me. Instead, what I would do is, just make sure that you're commenting in chat here. I'll look through chat afterwards and I will accept your invitation. So invite me to connect. I will always look at invitations I received. If it's clear to me that you are open to work or in career transition, I will accept it, right? And if I see your name and I see some familiarity inside here, then I will absolutely connect with you as well. Now, what we are going to do is, and I see, by the way, I see a bunch of you are requesting recording this meeting, AI transcripts and everything. I want to let you all know this call is actually being broadcast live on YouTube. I'm going to drop the YouTube link into the chat right now. Moving forward, Carol Dorsey, who's on the call with me, Carol's been helping me out as my virtual assistant, and she's starting to come into these calls. And I said, the first one, just kind of be on it. The next one, I'll have her start doing the work. And starting probably next month, I'm going to have Carol grab the YouTube link and put it in. But I just put it in as an example myself here. So when I'm getting, Christopher, if there's any right or wrong reason for this, and tell me if you have an opinion. As I'm doing these calls, I'm getting all of these AI transcript requests from individuals that are coming into the calls. My preference would be to send them out on YouTube to watch the playback there. Is there any pros and cons, things that I should be aware of as it relates to allowing those requests? Do you have any thoughts on that? And if not, that's okay. I'm putting you on the spot here.
Not on the spot at all. This is something I talk about with a lot of clients. My preference is much like yours. If there's another platform where they can capture all of the information, use that other platform. On one-on-one sessions, sure, they can record it, they can use their AI, but on events such as this, my default is to not allow.
So same preference. It's not really a security risk per se, because this is already a public event. It's just more of a personal preference because I am, and I kind of think about this too. I am self-employed, you guys. I'm not charging for these calls. I'm doing this. I'm donating my time. And there's a lot of people who are coming into these calls, my all-stars. I'll let them introduce themselves next, but we are donating our time as well. Christopher is donating his time. So part of the reason I allow Christopher to talk about his business is, our goal is to stay self-employed. So we would like to just, briefly promote our businesses, but also anything that I do for free now. If I do these free sessions, I also broadcast it on YouTube. So I'm creating content, and eventually I may convert these videos into a podcast as well, helping me to further reach audiences and also to help further reach all of you. So Christopher, thank you for sharing. I wasn't sure if there's anything I wasn't thinking of, but it makes me feel better feeling like you're the same way.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Okay, so here's what we're going to do on the call here today. And by the way, we've got 61 people on, so I think the email worked. We will start with, I'm going to do maybe 3 of the job seeker introductions. So if you're new to the group, comment new, and I will ask you to do a brief, like 15 to 30-second introduction of yourself, get a little bit of added visibility. And then I'm also going to ask the all-stars to introduce themselves after we do those 3 new people. Okay. So this is for if you are new, meaning you've come to the group for the very first time today, I'm looking for you to say new. Okay, so I am going to pick somebody that I know from a past career, Andy R. Andy, are you able to unmute yourself? And if you could tell us a bit about your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and then do let us know if you put your introduction into chat. And Christopher, I'm not finding Andy. If you find him first, go ahead and spotlight him. There he is. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Hey, long time no see.
Yeah, we used to work together. Gosh, it was probably about 20 years ago because my son is now 19. That's how I would know.
Oh, has it been that
So,
long?
yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead, please, and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Andy Rillo. I'm looking for something in the IT world. I haven't quite totally decided, but we'll start with the baseline of sysadmin. system engineer. Um, what else do I need to say?
Why don't you tell us too how you found the group? I think I know, but how did you find the group here today?
I actually found the group via a common connection we have in Dave Geboard.
Mhm.
Um, so when I saw you in there, you looked familiar, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I just hit connect, and then you gave me a lot more information. So I decided to join the group because I'm kind of learning. This is a new world to me because I have not been looking for a job for over 20 plus years. So
Yeah.
it's a very interesting world for me.
Well, we are happy that you found us here, Andy, and we're going to do some Q&A and share some success stories and whatnot next. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm glad to have had the chance to reconnect. And Andy was a great IT guy when I worked back. This was like back in, oh gosh, it was PMH Care Manning, and then it was Pitney Bowes Marketing Solutions, and that's when I left the company. But Andy was with the same organization that changed ownership over the years. So I'm glad that you found us, Andy, and delight to see you today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, awesome. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to do two more introductions, and then we're going to open it up for the All-Stars. And by the way, the people that did the AI assist, you don't have to apologize. I think it automatically pops up, but I'm getting a lot of them lately. That's why I was asking Christopher about it. So no worries at all. All right, Emily Clark, are you able to unmute yourself? And Christopher, if you can find Emily, let's give her a spotlight here.
Hi, good morning. Brenda, I connected with you first through Together Digital.
Yes, your name looked familiar. I'm like, I know her. How do I know her? Good. So tell us a bit about you. What are you
Yes.
looking for in terms of job title, targeted geographic area? And you already answered the how did you find the group?
Yes,
So there you
yes.
go.
So I live in Columbus, Ohio, and ideally here or remote opportunities. I am looking for jobs specifically in customer or client success or project management. And I'm targeting like ed tech companies, software as service, or marketing agencies.
Okay. Well, glad to have you here.
Yes, thank
And
you.
yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to introduce yourself. We appreciate that. All right, we'll do one more here. Karen Sloan. Karen, are you able to unmute yourself? And Christopher, if you can help find her, we'll put the spotlight on her. Hey, Karen, how are you doing today?
Hi, good morning. I'm
Good.
great. I actually found you through a connection on Between Successes here in the Detroit area.
Wonderful.
I am a CHRO, VP of HR, and looking for a new opportunity in Michigan or remote. Both of those would work. And I also do fractional and interim HR leadership work.
All right, awesome. I'm going to give you one. I always like when I would do these introductions, my mental Rolodex, I'm kind of like clicking through my head and trying to think of like, what could I refer her for or resources? And one is my friend Tina Marie Woolfield has an organization she created as a membership meetup group events. It's called HR Unite Michigan. And she has a conference that she does in Frankenmuth every July. In addition, she has coffee meetup groups with HR professionals throughout Metro Detroit. And I think they've actually gone outside of Michigan as well. So look into HR Unite Michigan. Are you familiar with that? Have you heard of it yet?
I have not, so I will
Okay.
look that up.
There you go. Awesome.
Thanks.
And thank you so much, Karen. Part of the reason we do these introductions is you never know who you're going to meet at these events. And on that note, this event isn't just about you and what you're going to get out of it. It's like, how can you help others as well? So I want to make sure you are all taking the time to look through the chat, read through the introductions, connect with each other, but also, I wanted to kind of plant the seeds. Okay, Steven says he's looking for data analysis in San Francisco. So I'm going to throw that in my mental ticker. And maybe I hear about something later this week and I come back and I, message him and like, hey, I just heard about something, right? So let's just be aware of what everyone's looking for. You never know. I'm a big believer in the whole concept of karma when it comes to social media, job search, pay it forward and help others, and that will come back to you. All right, so we're going to go through introductions with our VIP All-Stars, and these are individuals that I have invited and sometimes voluntold to come in here, and I'm going to have them one by one introduce themselves, and then I will end us off, and then we'll get going with the call. So I'm going to pull you up on screen. We're going to do a grid of 4. And Mindy, you'll be up next, and then just kind of keep going, and we'll go from that way. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Brenda. I'm so excited to be on the call with you guys. I am here to help you navigate your job search. It can be a lonely road, but if you join groups like this, then we can help you to share some of the burden and answer some of those questions. And that's why we come each month to help you to explore your career and navigate. I host a monthly call, and this month our next call is on May 7th, and it is free for all job seekers. And we have the famous Joey Himmelfarb speaking with us this Tuesday. And he's going to be talking to us about how to sell yourself for the job you want. Joey said to me yesterday, what am I going to say? I'm not sure what I'm going to say, but I know if Joey's on the call, it's going to be super positive, and I'm sure positivity is going to be in there somehow. So 2 things you should know. Number 1, Joey is so famous that we are at over 100 registrations right now, which means registration is still open. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. However, I do recommend that you join a little early on Tuesday because my Zoom only allows 100. So that's where we are right now. We're also going to be celebrating my 10th anniversary of incorporating AIM Resource Group, which is my company. And so Joey and I are both going to be giving away books at that raffle. So if you'd like to join, you need to be in it to win it. Please join us on Tuesday. We'd love to see you and talk to you further about how to accelerate your job search. I'm going to send this over to Joey.
Thanks, Mindy. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Joey Himmelfarb. As Mindy said, I guess I'm famous as opposed to infamous. And I am an author, a speaker, and depending on the day of the week, I coach unemployed professionals to help them sell themselves in the job market. That's what my book was about. My second book is almost a sequel to that, which I'm in the process of writing right now. Positive beats negative every day. If you're looking for work, that's where you need to be. That's where your head needs to be. As a New Yorker, true blue New Yorker, born in Brooklyn, raised in Yonkers, went to school in Buffalo. Even though I live in New Jersey, New York is still in me. So I'm going to be on these calls listening in. If I hear you going down a rat hole, being negative, I will chime in. Otherwise, I'll just listen intently and do my best to ensure that you're positive and upbeat. Linda, it's up to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Brubaker. And like you, I've got a former work life. So I used to be a recruiter, an executive search consultant, a headhunter, a hiring manager, an HR business partner, and I've been a dedicated job search coach for the last 7 years. In fact, I just started my own firm almost a year ago, about last August. In any event, I work with job seekers of all ages and all stages of their careers. My skill set is helping you to discover and highlight the transferable skills, because I want you to hire your next boss and find your next forever job. And that's where I work. So I'm here to help you in any way that I can. I'm going to put my information in the chat. And like Mindy, I do a free job search group every week. Mine is every week. It's Job Search Lunch and Learn. I see the number of people that I work with. Free group, come join us. It's every Wednesday at 11 Central Time on Zoom. And we'd love to have you here to support you in any way we can. Ken.
Hi, thanks a lot, Linda. My name is Kenneth Lang. I just finished my LinkedIn weekly LinkedIn events after 200 or so, and there were a couple of good reasons for that, actually. Neither of which I could share until now, but I will. Yes, I'm going to be doing a podcast and all that, but I was just given. I'm a Lee Act Harrison brand specialist, but about a couple weeks ago, they asked me to take on additional roles. So I'm going to be doing a one-on-one training with senior executives at Lee Act Harrison, which is a lot more in my sweet spot. So it's going to give me the responsibility to have more time with them. But even more than that, a couple weeks ago, some of you in New Jersey know how I feel about advocacy. I'm going to be working with the state of New Jersey and some other contacts to bring back our professional support group, the PSG groups, which were defunded a while ago. And we're looking to now bring them back as a white-collar place for people to reconnect, as opposed to the unemployment office. So I have meetings this week scheduled with people from the Department of Labor, people who used to work with New Start Career Network. So that's going to be my whole advocacy thing. It's a passion project of mine. I look forward to connecting with you, Brenda. I will always be here for you to help you in any way I can. I just really wanted to decompress from the weekly grind of LinkedIn Lives. I'm going to be repurposing them, but I'm not going anywhere. So Brenda, thank you very much for the opportunity today. Happy to help you. in any way I can. Everyone, feel free to connect. My only ask is tell me how I can help you specifically. It doesn't have to be a personal invite, but just let me know because there's so much stuff going on. So Brenda, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kenneth. I'm gonna pull myself back up on screen, and I appreciate all of the all-stars that are coming in here. And I want to just, say thank you, Kenneth. I know it is a grind, like kind of going through and doing all of these events. And I'm even debating about my LinkedIn Live series during the pandemic. I was weekly, and then I was daily for a while, and then I went to weekly and twice a month, and the reach of the lives has declined. There's been a lot of commenting issues lately, and it's becoming more like, why am I doing this? But the podcast value is still there for me, and I still meet interesting people that I want to interview. And by the way, my podcast right now, it's called excuse me, kind of bubble, Enthusiastically Self-Employed, which is really designed for solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, small business owners. The new podcast that I'm considering launching, I'm debating on the title, and tell me what you think about this. I think it needs to say job search someplace in the title. Originally, I was going to call it Experience Rich because I talk a lot about how those of you who are experience rich, age 40 plus, 50 plus, and 60 plus, and when you're on the path to seeking a new job, you are hit with different hurdles and obstacles that the younger generation may not have, but you have so much value to offer. However, reading Experience Rich, you might not get that. So the podcast title I'm working with right now is Job Search Tips for the Experience Rich. So the job search tips would be big and bold, and then Experience Rich is a little bit of my personal branding that I'm bringing into there. Let me know in comments if you're a podcast listener, if that would appeal to you as a topic or not, and you have any suggestions. I'm open to hearing that as well. All right, so here's what we're going to do next. First, I'm going to go through the attendee list and say hi to everyone quickly because that'll help me to know who's on the call today. And then we're going to move into questions. So if you do have a question, I want you to type the word question in all caps and then type the full question into chat. That will help us to identify the questions, and I'll call on you. We'll read the question out loud, and then I'll ask the all-stars to help answer. And if we can't get to your question, if you have it inside the chat, others on the chat can respond to you, okay? And then if you do have a success story that you'd like to share with us, type in the word success, SUCCESS. I'm in a spelling bee right now. Type in success in all caps in chat. You don't have to type in what the story was, but we'll call on you and we'll say, what is your success? And you might say, hey, I got a job. Today's my last day on the call, or I got an interview, or I just graduated, or, whatever it is, recruiter called me back, Miley, like whatever you deem to be a success on the path to finding a new role, we want to hear from you. I think it's important that we bring some positivity into these phone calls. All right, so let me introduce myself first. I just realized with the All-Stars, I always have you all introduce yourself, and I do a bad job of marketing myself, and I really should be doing a better job like all of you are doing. So my name is Brenda Meller. I've been an independent marketing consultant for a little over 6 years now, and what I do is I help job seekers, solopreneurs, and employees to get a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie. And I do that through one-to-one coaching, through VIP coaching sessions, through team training, through online courses, through events like today, webinars. I've got a book, got a podcast, and I've also got a marketing membership program. So a variety of different services that I offer. But if you are interested in getting some one-to-one help with your LinkedIn profile, I want to encourage you to reach out to me and let me know, and I'd be happy to provide information about my services for all of you. We do these calls once a month on the first Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. And I call these Friday VIP job seeker office hours because you are a very important person, regardless of if you are working or not. And going back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the call, that emotional roller coaster that you're on, a lot of us have our identity tied to the job, the role that we hold, right? And then all of a sudden, when that job title is like it's a rug pulled out from underneath us, like who are we if we're not our job, right? Well, you still have that knowledge. You still have the passion for what you do. You have all the information. You take that with you to your next job. Right. So I want you to remember that you are a very important person, regardless if you're working or not. And I am glad that you are on the call. And I just want to do a quick shout out to all of you who are with us here today and say good morning and welcome to Christopher, Joey, Kenneth, Linda, Ain, Al, Amy, Andy, Austin, Parnita, Carol, Christine, Looks like we got two Christines here with us. Crystal, David B, David M, and David S. Dean, nice to see you again, sir. Dennis, Ed, Eileen, Emily, Esther, Janet, and Janet too. We got two Janets on with us. Karen, Katie, Christy, Lynette, Larissa, Louisa, Mark, Melinda, Melissa W, Michelle. I thought there was two Melissas, so that's why I said that, but there was just one. Michelle, Mimi, Mindy, Nancy, Nicholas, Nicole, nice to see you. Sandra, Scott B, and Scott V. We got Club Scott in the house here today. Sophie, Stacy, Stan, Stephanie, Stefan. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen G and Stephen L. Suzanne, nice to see you. Tamara, Terry, Tina, Valentina, Vanadurga, Victor, Wayne. Hey, how you doing, sir? And Wendy. And by the way, this is my little pro tip. When you're running a call like this, if I don't do this and go read through your names, I might not know that you were on the call, especially if you don't comment into chat. So it gives me the chance to know that you are on the call with us. And also, oh, and Vic, I see just popped in here too, and Vanadurga. It also doesn't it feel good when I just called your name? Didn't it make you feel good? It was like a little burst of like, you're like, oh, she said my name. That's kind of a fun thing. It reminds me when we're back in school, elementary school, high school, and the teacher would like say good morning to all of you and make eye contact with all of you. And it helps to humanize you a little bit because it can be very isolating when you're unemployed, in career transition, out of work, whatever you want to call it, right? And you're sitting at your home by yourself and the family leaves in the morning, or maybe you're by yourself all day long and you're not even getting out. But I want to encourage you to create a community of people that can help to lift you up and support you. And on that same note as well, you all know who's on these calls, right? So if there's someone who has been on these calls pretty regularly and we're not seeing them anymore, reach out and say, hey, Nicole, haven't seen you on the Friday calls with Brenda. How's the job search coming along? Like reach out and ask the question just to check in with people. I think it's an important thing to do. Okay. All right. We are going to now move into some questions. And I saw a question that came in from Sandra Ragoza. Sandra, are you able to unmute yourself? And Christopher, can you help to find Sandra if you're still on and spotlight her? And Sandra says she went through the verification
Hello.
process on LinkedIn. Hey, how you doing? There you go.
I'm doing well.
Good to see you. So you did go through the verification process through Clear, and your verified icon is not appearing on your profile. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
And you did get the confirmation that it was approved.
From Clear. Yes, I did receive an email from Clear, and I'm getting emails from Clear. So I know that it was accepted in Clear, but it's not appearing on LinkedIn.
Okay, I'm going to share on screen Sandra's profile so we can see what she is referring to here. This is new information. I've not seen this happening to other clients. I would probably reach out to LinkedIn. And do you have an email from Clear that says you were verified, that it was accepted?
Yes.
Okay, because I would probably reach out to LinkedIn and say, I have an email from them that said it was verified. And then they will probably give you a customer service ticket that you can reply to and forward that email over. I'm curious, though, Kenneth, have you heard of this happening before where the verification was accepted, but it's not showing on the profile?
No, actually, I haven't. I do think opening a ticket makes sense because there have been some issues I know with this whole Clear thing. But I would definitely open a support ticket and see, because it could be other people are having this. It could be a known issue. The thing is, LinkedIn doesn't tell us when something's broken. We just know it's broken on our own. So that's what I would recommend. Because I don't know. Or you can even, go on X, which used to be Twitter. And because that's the other thing. We'll joke about that too. That's a better way to reach out to them than actually more than opening a ticket, because they seem to be more responsive there.
Yeah. Good point. Now, do you know, Kenneth,
Okay,
I know in the
perfect.
beginning it was only available to people in the US. Have they rolled it out to Canada? Because Sandra's in Canada.
That I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I know that in Europe, there's different issues with privacy and things, and they can't do it the same way, but I don't know. That's a very good question. Maybe Bobby Umar might know that actually.
Yeah. I'm going to pull up my profile because someone just said, what is Clear? And I want to point to an example of when you have this verified badge. This is what it looks like on your profile. So Clear is the company that if you go to the airport, there's like the really long lines for security, and then Clear has there's like 10 people in line, a bunch of people with clipboards trying to get you to sign up for their service. It's an identity verification process that I just know them from the airports, but they are verifying you with documentation and some type of, I don't know what they call it, bio, whatever, your eyeballs, your skin prints, things like that. So they verify that you are you. And that way, when you go to the airport, you can buzz through security pretty quickly. And by the way, if you've never done it at the airport and you're really running late for your flight, you can sign up for free. You just need to cancel it within 2 weeks, and then you can bypass the long security line. So little side pro tip there. Once you do set up the identity verification on your profile, you should see that badge on there. And mine says verified by Clear using government ID. Now, I'll have to, share with all of you. The next question I get is, should I have my profile verified? And honestly, I was reluctant to do anything with this because, I'm very well established on LinkedIn. I've got a good number of connections. I usually recommend it to clients who are just getting started with building up their profile, or they don't have a lot of history yet on LinkedIn, because the identity verification, what that does is it tells people you are who you say you are. You are a real person. And it's an independent organization that is doing that verification using your driver's license or passport or some other information. Now, some people say, I don't want to provide my driver's license or passport to an organization because I don't know what they're going to do with it, right? That's a personal preference. LinkedIn is not requiring the identity verification process at this time. It's an optional tool. And I was hesitant on even doing it because I'm like, I don't need it necessarily on my profile, but I was curious what the process looked like and how long it took. So I did go through and added it to my profile, but I don't think I necessarily need it. I would say, and I'm curious, Kenneth, if you have any thoughts on this, but I usually tell people if they have less than 200 connections and you're starting to grow your LinkedIn presence to support a job search or whatever else, I would do the identity verification, because if you do send someone an invitation to connect, you don't have the page invitation or the page message or the invitation personalization remaining. You can see like Austin has the badge next to his profile. VJ has the badge next to his profile. Like they are who they say they are. So I don't question, are they fake people or bots or whatnot? But Kenneth, do you have anything to add to that?
Well,
What you
I'm
recommend?
gonna, ironically enough, because I have my badge for LHH, we had someone that said they were with LHH and they kind of bombed us in and they tried to take advantage of our personal information. So now as a company, we're thinking twice about how secure this actually is. Because we don't know how the back end works. We only know what they're asking us to do. So I go back and forth about this. I think it's a good tool, but if it's abused and you don't know how it's abused and you don't know where your information is going, it's a challenge. It's like anything else, you have to trust your gut sometimes. And I know as a company, we are deciding this may not make sense for us. But that's as a company, not as an individual, because I still have mine up there, but it's connected to my LHH account, not to my, and so that's a different challenge entirely.
Yeah. And the identity verification isn't verifying employment with your current employer. It's just verifying that you are Kenneth Lang or you are Brenda Meller.
Exactly.
So it's not verifying everything on your profile. So it's an important designation there. But I'm curious if any of the other All-Stars have any thoughts on verification. And if so, would any of you like to raise your hand or wave at me and I'll call on you next? Does anyone have any other thoughts on that? Mindy, yes, please go ahead.
I'm waving. Listen, I believe if you're a job seeker and you want to use every tool that's available to you, you should verify, because you don't want a future employer looking at you and saying, is it really a bot? There was, when 2024 started, there was a very funny article out there that said 2024 will be the year that some employer hires a bot. And they won't know it because they will never have spoken to that person individually. And AI can mimic voices, et cetera, and faces and everything else. So I do recommend using the verify if you're a job seeker, just because we want to put that question mark out of a future employer's mind. Yes, I am a real person. I am not a bot, and I am who I say I am. And so, I have done it, and I recommend people do it.
That's a really good point. And we're in this day and age of AI is like everything everywhere. And even LinkedIn nowadays too is, and I don't know if you all have experienced this yet, when you click on message to message a new connection, like LinkedIn has pre-populated something and you're like, I didn't write that, and I wouldn't say that either. So it can definitely be a good tool, but it also is something that we're very skeptical about. And I do like that point, Mindy, like use all the tools that you have available to you when you're seeking a new job. So thank you for sharing that. All right. I saw another question coming in from Emily Clark. And Emily, Christopher, if you're able to find her and spotlight her, I'd appreciate it. Emily says, when job searching on LinkedIn, what are your top tips for productive time spent and getting closer to the goal of employment without getting overwhelmed? I love this. Joey has already said, I have a suggestion. So Joey, do you want to start us off? And if the other all-stars, if you have suggestions, use that raise your hand and I'll pull you up on here too.
I
Go ahead,
most
Joey.
certainly do. Great question, Emily. So that's what I tell all job seekers I speak with. If you want to know where you're going, you've got to know where you are. And if you want to know where you are, you got to do an assessment to figure that out. Now, let's assume you've done that, right? Now that you know where you are, where you're going, you've got to be focused, right? Because if you're not, then every cat video of the day, joke of the week, breaking news story of the hour is going to distract you from what you're trying to do. You're not looking for a job, I don't think. You're looking for your job, right? Because I know they're hiring at Wendy's and Applebee's, but that's not the job you want. You want the job that you want. So you got to answer this. Remember in fourth grade English when they taught us journalism, who, what, why, where, when, and how? You got to answer those questions about the job that you want and be as specific as possible. By going through that exercise, now you're focused, laser beam focused. And now if you're, I'm going to make this up. Let's assume you want to be an accountant, right? But you're interested in a lot of other things, but accountancy is what you want to do, right? You want to be focused on being an accountant. Why are you looking at job ads that have to do with a pastry chef, as an example, right? Totally different world, right? So be focused, be laser beam, and let all those distractions just waft over you because you're going to get distracted. You know that, right? We get distracted every hour, every day, every minute, every. So be focused. That will help you, I suspect, I hope, in dealing with the feeling of overwhelmness, if that's even a word, right? But you got to know where you're heading. Otherwise, as Yogi Berra said, if you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you get there?
Right. Right. And I feel like I'm really laser focused on, I know what roles I want. I know what company I want, and I'm still getting my feet wet with LinkedIn. I've optimized my profile. I've opened for work. I've started that. It's like, am I supposed to be, when I apply for a job and I'm writing the cover letters and the things, like trying to find connections that know someone and asking for an intro, like those kind of tips, like what should I be spending, I guess, my time doing? And it does get like, I'll be on LinkedIn and I have jobs saved that I want to apply for, but then something else is like, oh, more jobs. And then I'm like getting distracted.
And there
So
you
I
go,
guess like
right?
that LinkedIn strategy of like, what am I really supposed to be doing?
But so I'm going to put you in your spot, Emily. So somebody says, so you say to somebody, help me look for work. They go, okay, Emily, what do you want to be when you grow up? You can't say, I'm not, you can't, you got to be, bang, this is what I want to do, right? So for example, if you want to be an accountant, right? Then that's what you should be looking at and that's what you should be focusing on. And if you're looking through your LinkedIn contacts, you want to talk to your LinkedIn contacts who are dealing with accountants or that world. The pastry chef contacts, they're nice to have, but they're probably not going to help you first go around, right? But you got to be focused.
All right, Mindy, do you want to go next? And then I see Kenneth wants to jump in here too. Go ahead.
I do. Emily, I love that question. One of my very early clients said to me when he first started calling, when he first started the call, he said to me, I don't know what's wrong. I'm applying all day long. I have applied to hundreds and hundreds of jobs and I never hear anything back. And I said, okay, you just described everything you're doing wrong. You cannot just continuously apply. And so the description that you gave, which was, what do I do and how much time do I spend? You need to spend much more time in the networking world, which means you're going to, yes, apply. Let's just say 20% of your time, you're going to find those great jobs and you're going to apply, right? You need to double that amount of time with finding people who are in that organization, who know people in that organization, who can get you further, faster within the organization. If you're just going to hit the easy apply button, you're not going to hear back from these companies. Too many people are doing that. And then you become one of 100 or 200 or 5,000 people who are applying. And so making yourself unique and getting in front of the people who might know a hiring manager, who might know someone who's at that company, that's where you need to differentiate yourself. And that's where you need to spend your time. And I would say if 20% of your time is applying and another, let's say 40% of your time is connecting with people, the rest of the time, you should be on groups like this. You should be educating yourself about the job process, the job search process, and surrounding yourself with people who can support you during this process, because it is a roller coaster ride. And you need people when you're here, up here, who are applauding you, and you need people when you're down here saying, it's a desert for me right now. So those are the three areas to me that are most important for any job seeker. And I thank you so much for that question, because a lot of people think if I just keep hitting easy apply, and Linda's with me on this, do not use easy apply. Thank you, Linda. Because it makes you into just another number for them. You want to be unique. You do really want to customize that application as you're sending it out. Absolutely. And does it take more time? Yes. But do you want that job or don't you? You know, you can waste your time or you could spend your time doing great things. So thank you for that
That's
question.
helpful.
Is that helpful?
Yes,
Awesome.
for sure.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
All right, Kenneth, what would you like to add to that?
I would look at it this way. Back then, there was Career Builder and Monster. LinkedIn is kind of becoming that right now. You apply for jobs and you're just going to be you're going to be going into a different black hole. So it's not really beneficial that way because people are using LinkedIn in that way. It's much better to network. It's much better to get yourself out there. It's much better to tell your story. If I know what you're looking for, it will help me. And whether you join a group or join something like this, like I'll give you an example. I'm not a recruiter, but I am now looking for 2 people at the place that I worship at for jobs. And I'm reaching out to people locally because I'm in New Jersey and someone from somewhere else can't apply. But knowing that about what I'm looking for, I can reach out to people directly that I know that have those skills. I have to know what you can do, but you're not going to get that applying for a job on LinkedIn. You're just a number. And just engaging. I mean, it's hard work. It is a lot of hard work. But the good thing about it is it's good practice to go out there and put yourself out there, because you're also going to learn what you're good at and not good at.
Thank you. That's helpful too.
Yeah.
Good. And I'm just going to echo what Mindy had to say. And I think it's actually helpful to hear this, Emily, and for all of the other job seekers on the call, to hear similar pieces of advice coming from different career strategy experts. I mean, Mindy is a career strategy expert. She's a coach. She works with, I think, resumes and with job seekers. I just do LinkedIn. That's all I do is LinkedIn. But my perspective on working with job seekers on LinkedIn is similar to Mindy's perspective on the job search. I think, and I think Mindy said like 25, did you say 25% of your time should be applying for jobs and then the other time should be spent did I get that right, Mindy?
I said 20, but you could do 25. You know,
Okay, thank you,
it's not
Christopher.
exact science, more of an art.
So I will say, and you can do an average of all of these percentages, Mindy, but I would say no more than 50% of the time during your job search is spent applying for jobs. Because what happens when you apply to jobs, the black hole, right? And I talk about the black hole a lot. If you want to say into chat right now how much you hate the black hole, go ahead and all caps, I hate the black hole, because it's soul sucking and energy crushing and it defeats you. You apply to job upon job upon job. You apply to a job, and then they fill out your application, and then you do this and you do that, and you jump through a hoop and you do this. And then you may or may not get a form email back. And, you know, it's very frustrating. And 6 months later, you get we hired someone else, and you're like, I don't even remember applying for that job. And it, you know what I mean? Like, it's like very, like, you feel like you're at the mercy of the system. And the ATSs that are out there, it's a necessary evil. And I understand why they have them, but it'd be really hard to get over that hurdle of applying through the job board and getting a hold of a real person. So what I would say is no more than 50% of your time while you are job searching is on the job boards and applying to jobs. The other 50% is, so here's what I would do if I were you, Emily. You find a job, you're super excited about it, you go and apply, do the process first, but then look them up on LinkedIn, follow the company page. So click on the follow button, scroll down to the company page's about section. And if they have the thing that says notify recruiters at this company that you're open to positions at this company, click on yes, click on that little button there. So let them know. And that kind of brings your hand up. And as they're doing profile searches on LinkedIn, maybe for other jobs, you might come up in their searches. The next thing I would do is look at who are employees at the company and do I have any first level connections? If not, find some employees to connect with. Now, if you've only got the 5 personal invitation credits a month, those are the people that you use those invitation credits on. And when you invite them to connect, the invitation to connect, you don't say that you're applying for the job because they may not accept your invitation if you do that. Instead, look at their profile and say something like this. Hi, Emily. We haven't met yet, but I see that we're both in the Columbus area and we share several common connections, including Megan Voges. And I'm just making up a name that you probably know. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Or, hi, Emily. We haven't met yet, but I see that we both work in the education marketing space. And I noticed that we both attended Central Michigan University. Fire up chips. Or, hi, Emily. We haven't met yet, but I saw your post recently where you were talking about X, Y, and Z, and I found it really interesting. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Any one of those 3 examples, you know I've looked at your profile. You know I'm not just using automation to send it out to you, right? And I'm not asking for a job. Now, my goal is to get you to accept the invitation. If you accept my invitation, now I have permission to message you. And in step 2, after they accept, I say, thanks for accepting my invitation, Emily. I noticed that your company is hiring for XYZ position. And then I do a soft ask. And the soft is an indirect. I'm not going to say, can you help me get the job? I'm going to say something like, I'm curious, what do you think of the culture working there? Or do you have any insights into the hiring process? Or do you know anything about that role or that department? So I'm trying to get them talking, right? And they might, I mean, you might get someone who says, yeah, it's a great company. And by the way, we've got an employee referral program. Send me your resume and I'll get it over to the hiring. You might get lucky with this approach. But what I'm trying to do is get you out of the black hole where you're at the mercy of the system and you're fighting against hundreds and sometimes thousands of other candidates. I'm trying to get your resume pulled up to the top of the stack where you can get an actual human being to look at it. And I'm trying to get you to raise your visibility as well by doing things that you have control over. You cannot control the black hole. And I've never seen a black hole in space, but my understanding is it pulls energy and everything that comes near it gets sucked inside it, and you cannot fight the gravitational pull, right? So don't fight the black hole, accept it, but then let's spend 50% of our time doing these other activities. All right.
That's great. And the recording of this, so I can write all these notes you all
Yes.
just gave, is going to be on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. And I'm, if Carol, if you're able to do so, Carol, can you grab that link again and throw that back into chat again so we can find it? And by the way, thank you, Emily, for your question. By the way, for everyone on the call too, the playback that we have for today's call, there's actually a playlist of previous Friday VIP office hours as well. So you can kind of binge watch all the content and get some additional tips in there as well. So feel free. And you can also download the chat before we leave the call. We've got about 10 minutes to go and I'll give you the instructions on how to do so. All right, let's see if we have any other questions that have come in. I'm scrolling through the chat. The black hole. Doesn't it feel good to just get the venting out and say, I hate the black hole, right? Like it's okay to use the word hate when referring to the black hole because it's not a person. It's not like a person. It's a thing, and it feels really difficult sometimes. Okay. So Crystal Anderson. Hey, Crystal, nice to see you. Christopher, if you're able to find Crystal, can you put her on spotlight? Crystal, you said, has the group found the network is not as strong or able to help? And I'm not sure what you're referring to here, Crystal. So could you clarify on your question? You're muted. I can't hear you. It doesn't look like you're muted, which is odd. Do you have any earbuds plugged in? There you go. Now we can hear you. How are you?
Very good. New microphone. Hi, good to be back. And Brenda, I've missed this, especially during this transition. Part of my severance package, I'll just give a little backstory real quickly. I've had an outplacement service given to me during my severance. Nothing like this, my friend. It is just so empowering. And I'm, feel like, okay, I'm not alone. People are doing this. We're going through it. It's hard. It is just hard. And this week, a little bit more so than the past. So
Yeah.
because it's not working the same, I have learned it is not what we were seeing in even 2022. It is definitely a different job market. So it's been difficult reaching out to network colleagues.
Okay.
One of the things that's interesting, I've applied to several different jobs. I have contacts there I've either worked with previously, I've connected through LinkedIn, connected through, groups and events. And even when they reach out to the internal HR people, they cannot find who's on the hiring team. They can't find the job posted internally, but it's out there on LinkedIn. And when we're starting to, share it forward, it's still crickets. And I'm like, I wonder how empowered are the internal teams to get in front of HR or the ATS systems and really help us get in front of the right people to have those conversations.
Okay, so I'm confused what the question is here.
Oh, sorry. Has this group found that it's hard, even networking, to get in front of the hiring team and the hiring manager to have a conversation about the job opening? Are you finding that your network is really empowered to help us move this process forward? Or is it just an ugly, ugly market right now?
Oh, I don't know. I'm hoping. I just saw Joey's hand go off because I'm hoping that's not the case. And Linda and Mindy, I'm hoping you all pipe up in here in the conversation. So Joey, let's hear from you first, and then we'll go to Linda and Kenneth and hopefully Mindy as well.
I'm loaded for bear, Carolyn. So bear with me, all right? So the two salesmen are sent to an island to sell shoes. Shoe salesmen are sent to an island to sell their shoes. They get to the island. One goes in this direction. One goes in that direction. They convene a day later back at the shop, and they say to the president, the first one says to the president, nobody wears shoes on this island. I'm never going to get anybody to buy any shoes. Second one says, this is a gold mine. Nobody wears shoes. I'm going to sell everybody shoes. Now, same set of circumstances, same situation, different mindsets. So I'm talking to you, Carolyn, but I'm talking to everybody on this call. What's happening out there, you have no control over. What you can control is how you deal with what's going on out there. So head up, chest out, smile in your eyes, and a big grin, right? Mm-hmm. And attack the job search as if the job you want is out there. Now go get it. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't read the stats. Don't pay attention to whatever the network is. It doesn't matter. What are you going to do about it? And get it done.
All right. Thanks for starting us off here, Joey. Okay, Linda, what do you have to offer?
Okay, Crystal, I am seeing some of what you're seeing as well, that it is harder to network up to the hiring manager. So I think we're looking at networking to some extent in a different way these days. It's not just who can walk your resume down the hall, because that doesn't seem to happen quite as often. What's useful is networking with people in the company or in the industry or doing the jobs that you like to find out more about the role, to find out more about the company and the way they work. And the more people you talk with, the more you can find out about perhaps that company's hiring process, the more you can find out additional information. And it may not be that walk down the hall, but it's still that additional information that gives you the leg up on everybody else. And in my experience, I think that's where networking really comes into play. What is this role really all about? What are the hot buttons for this company? What are the hot buttons for this department? What have you found about working here? Have you recently gone through the interview process, even in another department? What have you learned? And can I use your name if I'm applying? Because you've got a company referral program. If you can add a name to that referral process, you are at least guaranteed that human eyes are going to spend a lot of time looking at your resume and at your LinkedIn profile. And to my mind, that's one of the things that really helps. It's not the standard here. I've never met you before. We've had a quick LinkedIn conversation, walk my resume to the hiring manager. Doesn't work that way.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Hey, Mindy, you want to finish this off here?
Sure. Here we go. So Joey told the story. I'm going to tell a short story also. True story. Client calls me tears streaming down his face. I've sent out 400 applications in the last year. I'm hearing crickets. I hear nothing. It's a terrible job market. I said, let's take a look at your resume and your LinkedIn profile. We tightened up a couple of things. It wasn't a lot. I showed him how to do some good job searches instead of the searches he was doing. I showed him how to really connect with people on a much deeper level than he was doing. Within 3 weeks, he had not just one job offer, but 2. Okay, so yes, it's tough. There's a lot of people out there. You have a lot of competition, but you've got to start thinking critically about what you're providing, what your marketing tools look like. And when I say marketing tools, I'm thinking about the LinkedIn profile for sure, and your resume, of course, and make sure that they are as tight as can be, and then work on your networking as well. Those 3 items, it's like a stool. You need all 3 legs. You need your marketing tools, and you need that outreach. You've got to be reaching out all the time to people and learning and growing. It can happen. So yes, it's tough, but keep positive, keep joining people, keep talking to people, and you'll get there for sure.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mindy. I was hoping a couple of the others might pop in on the conversation here. So Crystal, as you were describing the scenario, it reminded me when I was back in corporate, and there's some really good HR people and recruiters, and there's some that are not so good. They're more like gatekeepers, and they're more on the compliance side of things, and they don't talk to human beings, and they only go through the ATS, and they don't respond to LinkedIn invitation. I mean, does this sound familiar, Crystal? Like these are the people
So
that
familiar.
are doing the thing. So
That's what I'm seeing.
and I'll quote one of my favorite movies, Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And I think that's the case with organizations when you're applying for jobs. The recruiters and HR function is kind of like that box of chocolates. You don't know if you're going to get somebody who is forward thinking and understands the value of human connection, or they are so compliance based and they don't do anything outside of the fold of the ATS. So if you're hitting that, and typically it happens with larger organizations, the larger the organization, the more likely you're going to come across this. But it's not the case with everyone. Some organizations are more willing to connect with you. So if you're hitting roadblocks with the HR and the recruiters, try to make connections inside the department where the role can be found. And you can do that with current employees of the organization in that department. And you can also do it with former employees of the organization in this department. This is a brilliant technique. When I was job seeking, the last time I was job seeking was 2017. I used this technique. There's a way that you can use the filters on LinkedIn for free, and you can look for former employees of the company. And then you can type in the keyword, like in my case, marketing. And I can look for former marketing professionals that worked at this company, make a connection with them and say, hey, I saw that you used to work in the marketing department at ABC. I'm looking at applying for a job there. And this would be through the process. Step 1, you invite them to connect. Step 2 is where you do this process. But looking to apply for a job there, I noticed you used to work in marketing. Can you tell me anything about the dynamics of the department? Because I'm having a really hard time getting a hold of the recruiter. Now, former employees, they have no vested interest in the organization at all. Like they're going to be like, oh my gosh, so-and-so is the worst HR manager I've ever worked with, and they don't do any real life human interaction. They only go through the ATS. You need to talk to so-and-so instead. And by the way, I'm still friends with that person. I'd be happy to make an introduction for you. So be clever on this, right? And at some point, Crystal, you might keep hitting the roadblock with that company, and you're just striking out, like move on to the next organization. There are hundreds and thousands and millions of organizations that are out there on LinkedIn that are hiring right now, and there's other open positions. They miss out on you, but you don't have to be at their mercy. You do have some control over this process as well. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so happy to be back. I appreciate it.
We're glad to see you. And thank you so much for asking the question. Yeah, guys, it is 11 a.m. I was going to say 9 a.m. for a second. And then I realized, no, it is 11 a.m. I want to do something real quick. And this is, we have a job seeker mantra. We have not done this in a while. And I want to do this right now. This will be optional. If you want to participate, give me just a second to find it here. Oh, where's it at? Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm going to go white today. Sometimes I go pink. Sometimes I go white. I don't know if it's I think it might rotate into the next slide if I pull it up. So let me keep it in this format. So here's what we're going to do. Optional if you want to participate. If you want to participate, I want you to unmute yourself right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say each line of the job seeker mantra, and you're going to repeat it back to me. What I'm going to have you do, though, is we're going to raise a hand. It can be your left hand or your right hand. It's not legally binding, so pick a hand. I don't care which hand it is. And raise a hand, unmute yourself. I'm going to say the line, and you're going to repeat it back after me. Okay. So let's do this right now. I'm going to say the line, point at you, and you're going to repeat it back to me. This is the Meller Marketing Job Seeker Mantra. It's going to get us into the right mindset for our job search. So here we go. This is temporary.
This is temporary.
I am awesome.
I am
awesome.
I'll be honest, I was not feeling that. So we're going to do this again. And I want you to feel it in your heart that you are awesome, because you are awesome. You should know this. Okay. So we're going to say this again. I am awesome.
I am awesome.
Oh, I felt it that time, you guys. You can point to somebody else right now and say, and you are awesome.
And you are awesome.
There you go. I am valuable.
I am valuable.
Yes, you are. I will find another job.
I will find another job.
The black hole isn't the only way.
The black hole isn't
The only way.
I am in control of my future.
I am in control of my future.
There you go. And using LinkedIn can help to give me power.
And using LinkedIn help to give me power.
There you go. Plus, by attending today, I am a step ahead.
Plus, by attending today,
I am a step ahead.
All right, give yourself a round of applause there, guys. And go ahead and put yourself back on mute again. And I want to just kind of reflect upon the things that we just did and what happened. When you are in job search mode, that roller coaster of emotions I talked about earlier, you're up and you're down, and you're also, there's a lot of self-talk that's happening, like things that you're saying out loud or to yourself or in response to things that are happening. And I want to just kind of touch on a couple of the points that we just said in here, because part of what we're doing is we're trying to train our brain to be more positive and optimistic and forward thinking. This is temporary. And I want you to know that where you are right now is temporary. It is just a blip. Someday you're going to look back and go, wow, that happened. And I was in career transition and it took me a while and it was a really terrible time, but this is temporary. This is just a blip in your timeline right now. And I want you to know that and believe that. You are awesome. And I want you to know that you are awesome and you are valuable. They cannot take from you the passion that you held for your career and for your role and all of the knowledge that you gained throughout your years. You take that with you to your next job. Your next employer is going to be so lucky and so grateful when they find you. Okay. So I know that we feel like when our job has been taken from us, it's like that rug has been pulled out from underneath. Our identity has been taken away from us. But you are still awesome and you are still valuable. And I want you to know that. I believe it, and I want you to believe it about yourself as well. And when you catch yourself saying, I'm never going to find another job. I know you've said it, because I used to say that when I was in career transition too. I'm never going to find a job. I want you to stop yourself and say out loud 3 times, I will find another job. I will find another job. So what you're doing is you're telling your brain to stop saying, I'm not going to find another job, and to say, I will find another job. I'm a big believer in affirmations. If you want something to happen, you have to say it. You know, sometimes I put Post-it notes on the bathroom mirror, on my computer screen or whatnot, and I read those out loud, and eventually it tricks your brain into figuring out a way of making it happen. Okay, so I want you to believe that you will find another job, and stop yourself by saying, you know, when you catch yourself saying, I won't find another job. Okay, the black hole is not the only way. And I'm so glad we touched on it in today's call, because I want you to know that you do have some control over this process. You don't have to rely only on the job boards to go through it. I want to encourage you to connect with the all-stars that are on the call here today, as well as the fellow job seekers, and to get more active on LinkedIn, because using LinkedIn can help to give you power, and it can help to give you a path of finding your next career. Okay. And by attending today, you are a step ahead. Because gosh, there was so much great information we shared with all of you. And if you would like to, before we leave the call here today, go into chat and share one thing that you learned on today's call that you're going to implement. One thing, just one thing. It could be, I'm going to start downloading chat from Zoom, or I'm going to be connecting with the All-Stars, or I'm going to check out Mindy Stern's event, or I'm going to buy Joey's book. By the way, Joey, did you put your book in chat? Go ahead. And if you didn't do so, go do it right now. So tell us one thing you're going to do as a result of this phone call. And, in addition to applying for jobs, I'm going to try to follow the company page. You got a lot of tips on the call here today. And then before we end, I will, remind you that we do meet every first Friday of the month from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's always free. And like Mindy, I have the Zoom license, which allows for up to 100 people. So if we get closer to 100, I might start saying, get early, because once the door hits 100, you can't come into the Zoom. You can watch us on YouTube, right? But if you get in early, you're guaranteed to have your spot in there. And if you do come across other individuals that are in career transition, send them my way. You can do a LinkedIn messaging introduction or an email, or if you see somebody posting on LinkedIn that says they're struggling with their job search or in career transition, just go into the comments and tag me in. And you might want to say, hey, you should follow at Brenda Meller, at Mindy Stern, at Lindy Brubaker, at Joey Philpark, at Kenneth Lang, like tag us all in there, at Christopher Johnson. And that's kind of like your way of winking to us, and I'll wink back. And I'll go into the comments and I'll say, thanks for tagging me in. I invite you to come to my upcoming VIP Job Seeker office hours. So it's a really great way of helping to spread the word and build some of that social media karma going forward. And then finally, let's see what's going on in chat. Did you guys put some takeaways? Yes, that's awesome. Networking isn't much about giving it as receiving. Love that. Let's see. Great tips. Have to jump off. Okay. Sometimes recruiters overwhelm. So yeah, there's a lot of great things that are in here in terms of key takeaways. Oh, here they are. Network, network, network. How do you copy the chat? So here's what you're going to do for who asked that, Stephen, as well as for others. At the top of the chat box, there's 3 little dots. If you click on the 3 little dots, there'll be an option to save chat. Now, as soon as you save it, you're going to see it'll say on your computer somewhere, chat saved, show in folder. Usually it puts it in your downloads folder on your laptop. Okay. Now, if for any reason you're watching this call today on your phone or your tablet, you'll have to go into chat and say, can someone email it to me? And just put your email. Somebody will email it to you. I do not do that, but somebody will do that for you if you do that into chat right now. Okay. And you can download the chat, and you can also watch the YouTube playback again later. All right. If you register for this call once, you have the Zoom link to join us every month, and it should be added to your calendar as well. With that said, everyone, I want to thank you again for joining. Wish you a wonderful week. Thank our All-Stars again for joining us here today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all on LinkedIn. Take care, everyone, and we will see you all next month. Take care.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
week, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Hasta la vista, baby.